My name is Jennifer, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to factor polynomials using the grouping method. So grab a pencil and some paper and work through these problems with me. Now, the specific method we're going over today is called the grouping method, and we use the grouping method when we have 4 terms in our polynomial. Let's take a look at this first example. We have x squared plus 3x plus 4x plus 12. And we're asked to factor this problem. Now, factor means to write this problem as a multiplication problem. So let's go ahead and get started. The first step in the grouping method is to draw a set of parentheses around the first 2 terms and a set of parentheses around the second 2 terms. Just like that. Next, we're going to take a look at this first group and see if the terms inside this first group have anything in common. And they do. They have an x in common. So we're going to put an x on the outside, and in parentheses, we'll write x plus 3. Next, we're going to look at the second group to see if they have anything in common. And they do. They have a positive 4 in common. When you factor out a positive 4, you're left with x plus 3. Next, we're going to see if our first part of the problem has anything in common with our second part. And sometimes this is hard to see, but let me see if this helps. Do you notice that when we factored the first group, we were left with x plus 3? When we factored our second group of terms, we were also left with x plus 3. Since they have x plus 3 in common, we are going to factor the x plus 3 out. That means we're simply going to write x plus 3 down first as part of our multiplication problem. And then look what happens to this first group. When we take out the x plus 3, we're left with x. We're going to put it in another parenthesis representing multiplication. When we take out x plus 3 on this side, we're left with a positive 4. So the answer to this problem is x plus 3 times x plus 4. Okay, let's try that again. Let's factor x squared plus 10x plus x plus 10 using the grouping method. The first step is to draw a set of parentheses around the first 2 terms and draw a set of parentheses around the last 2 terms. And that makes 2 groups. Let's take a look at the first group. Do the 2 terms have anything in common? They do. They have an x in common, and that leaves x plus 10. Now, let's take a look at the second group. We have x plus 10. Do they have anything in common? Your first response may be no, but anytime you're tempted to say no, they have nothing in common, it usually means they have a 1 in common, which they do. We can say they have a positive 1 in common, leaving us with x plus 10. Next, we are going to factor to see if either of these 2 terms have something in common. Again, sometimes this is hard to see, but both of these terms have the parentheses x plus 10 in common. So we are going to write x plus 10, since they have that one in common. We're going to draw a new set of parentheses to symbolize multiplication. And we're going to write what we have left over. If you were to take out this x plus 10, you'd be left with x. Over here, if you took out the x plus 10, you'd be left with a positive 1. So the answer to this problem is x plus 10 times x plus 1. Okay, let's do one more problem together. Let's factor 4x squared minus 6x plus 6x minus 3 using the grouping method. The first step is to draw a set of parentheses around the first two terms, another set of parentheses around the last two terms. Now we're going to go back to the first group and ask yourself, do these two terms have anything in common? They have a 2x in common. Draw a new set of parentheses. 4x squared, when you factor out a 2x, you're left with a 2x. Minus 6x, when you factor out a 2x, you're left with a minus 3. Next, let's go to the second group. Ask yourself, does the second group have anything in common? And it does. We can say it has a positive 3 in common. 6x, when you factor out a positive 3, you're left with a 2x. Negative 9, when you factor out a positive 3, or negative 9 divided by 3, is a negative 3. The last step is to ask yourself, do these two terms have anything in common? They both share the parentheses 2x minus 3. So what that means is we're going to write parentheses 2x minus 3 first. We're going to draw another set of parentheses representing a multiplication problem. When we take out the 2x minus 3 from this term, or we divide it out, we're only left with the 2x. Same thing over here. If we factor out the 2x minus 3, we're left with our positive 3. So the answer to this problem is 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 3. Now, if you have any other questions about factoring by grouping, please contact your professor or stop by the Math Tutoring Lab or watch this video again.